Welcome. Today we will conduct a legal analysis of torts against business relations. In the commercial world, competition is fundamental, but where does the law draw the line between aggressive competition and an illegal act? This is the domain of torts against business relations. In this explainer, we will dissect the legal principles that protect commercial interests and govern business conduct within the marketplace.
Our agenda is structured into 6 key areas to provide a comprehensive overview. We will begin with the foundational concept of economic torts. Then, we will examine 3 specific torts: injurious falsehood, negligent misstatement, and passing off. Following this, we will compare passing off with the tort of deceit and conclude with a review of the key principles. Let us begin with Section 1, Understanding Economic Torts. This serves as the foundation for the entire field of commercial liability.
What precisely are economic torts? They are the common law rules governing liability in business transactions. They involve interference with economic or business relationships, which typically results in pure economic loss. These rules function as the legal framework to protect a company's legitimate economic interests from unlawful interference.
The purpose of these torts is to strike a critical balance. The law must protect businesses from unfair or malicious tactics without stifling healthy, aggressive competition. Consequently, these torts often serve as what legal scholars term a grand residual category, a safety net that addresses wrongful economic conduct not covered by a standard breach of contract claim. Within this category, we find specific torts. Interference with contractual relations occurs when a party intentionally induces another to breach a contract. Interference with business relations involves unlawfully preventing a potential business relationship from forming. Finally, conspiracy is an agreement between 2 or more persons to harm a business through unlawful means. There are 2 key requirements to note. First, the defendant's conduct must be intentional. Accidental interference is not actionable. Second, a crucial distinction exists for tortious conspiracy. Unlike in criminal law, a mere agreement is insufficient. The harmful plan must be implemented and cause actual financial damage to give rise to a claim. We now proceed to our second section, injurious falsehood, which concerns liability for malicious statements. This tort is also known as malicious falsehood. Injurious falsehood is defined as maliciously telling lies to a third person about the plaintiff, resulting in injury. To succeed in a claim, the plaintiff must prove both malice, that is, an evil motive or dishonest intent, and that the falsehood resulted in a quantifiable pecuniary loss. This tort protects commercial interests, distinct from the tort of defamation, which protects personal reputation. Injurious falsehood manifests in 2 primary forms. The first is slander of title, which involves false statements that disparage a person's legal title to property. The second is slander of goods, which involves a competitor making false statements about the quality of a plaintiff's products with the intent to damage sales. Consider this scenario for slander of title. Individual A tells a potential lender that B's shop is pledged as collateral to another party. This is done with a malicious intent of preventing B from securing a loan. This is a clear example of a malicious falsehood regarding property, communicated to a third party, intended to cause direct financial harm. Let us now shift our focus from malicious intent to carelessness. Section 3 covers the doctrine of negligent misstatement, which establishes liability for careless advice. A negligent misstatement is a false statement of fact made honestly but carelessly. It becomes actionable in tort if there is a breach of a duty of care, and this breach causes damage. The law draws a clear and vital distinction between this form of carelessness and intentional deceit. For liability to attach, certain conditions must be met. The central liability rule is that a breach of a duty of care must have caused the damage. A significant factor in establishing this duty is the presence of a special skill. This applies to professionals, such as accountants, lawyers, or bankers, who are held to a higher standard of care because they provide advice knowing that clients will rely upon it. The landmark case that established the modern standard for this tort is Hedley Byrne and Company Limited versus Heller and Partners, decided in 1964. This case fundamentally altered the landscape of professional liability for advice. Let us analyze this case using the IRAC method. The issue was whether a bank could be held liable for a careless financial reference that caused economic loss.
The rule established by the court was that a duty of care arises when a person possessing a special skill provides advice that they know will be relied upon. In the application of this rule, a bank provided a favorable credit reference. An advertising agency relied on it, extended credit, and subsequently lost £17,000 when the client went into liquidation. The conclusion was that the court held the bank liable in principle. Although the bank ultimately avoided liability due to a disclaimer, this case established the modern tort of negligent misstatement.
Next, we turn to Section 4, protecting goodwill through the tort of passing off. This tort addresses the harms of brand imitation and protects a business's goodwill. What is passing off? It is the act of representing one's goods or services as being those of another reputed firm in order to exploit their established goodwill. In essence, it is a form of commercial misrepresentation or brand theft. There are several key elements to understand. First, its primary object is the protection of goodwill, which the law recognizes as a form of property. Second, it is distinct from trademark law. Passing off protects unregistered trademarks, whereas registered marks are protected by statute. Finally, and most importantly, it is actionable per se, meaning a plaintiff can sue without proving actual financial loss.
A significant Indian case illustrating this principle is Ellora Industries versus Banarsi Das, reported in the All India Reporter 1980, Delhi section at page 254. Applying the IRAC framework, the issue was whether a manufacturer is liable for using a name or design that is confusingly similar to a competitor's. The rule is that the tort's purpose is to prevent the exploitation of a business's reputation. In the application, the court found the defendant's mark was intentionally designed to encroach upon the plaintiff's established reputation. The conclusion, the defendant was held liable. The court's stated objective was to secure a reasonable area of monopoly for the original trader, thereby safeguarding their goodwill.
Now, for Section 5, we will conduct a legal comparison of passing off and the tort of deceit. Although both involve dishonesty, there are critical legal distinctions between them. What are the technical distinctions? In passing off, the deception is directed at a third party, the customer. The harm is to the business's proprietary right in its goodwill, and it is actionable per se. In the tort of deceit or fraud, the deception is aimed directly at the plaintiff. It can affect all of the plaintiff's interests, but to succeed, the plaintiff must prove they suffered an actual financial loss.
We will now conclude with our sixth and final section, a review of the key principles we have discussed. This serves as a summary for revision.
Let us review. If a party is maliciously lying to others about your business or property, the applicable tort is injurious falsehood. If an expert provides careless advice that you rely on to your detriment, it is negligent misstatement. If a competitor imitates your brand's distinctive appearance, it is passing off. Finally, is proof of damage required? Yes, for injurious falsehood and negligent misstatement. No, for passing off. Understanding these distinctions is essential for protecting your business in a competitive market.